Hello. So, in today's video, I watched the Spider-Verse. I don't want to say anything other than go watch it. I rarely like watching movies over and over again, and I'm already planning on seeing it a second time. So, that's a lot for me personally, so please go watch it. Also, if you like the art in this video, subscribe. I actually like this spidersona idea so much that I might actually make like an animatic thingy for it, for like the backstory for fun. Cause I haven't done something for fun that's like fan related in a really long time. So I guess watch out if I do that. But yeah, if you like the art in this video, you should subscribe. I remodeled, as you can see. So I have my new watermark that has all my social media on there, so take a good look at that watermark. Also, I'm sorry for the noise. My mice, my blind one has decided that right now is the perfect time to just make a lot of noise. Yes, Ginger, you. And I tried to get her to not make noise, but that didn't work for very long, as you could see. So, for the backstory, so I don't want to like say my last name, but it's Italian. My dad's half Italian. My mom is Hispanic. I look really white, but if I spend a couple hours in the sun, I get really tan really fast. So this is Mia Pancino, or Pancino? I didn't grow up speaking Spanish or Italian, so that was real bad. But her backstory is, I didn't make her a high schooler or them a high schooler. I'm not a high schooler anymore. So they are a college freshman studying in New York. I'm thinking either coding or art school. So Mia Pantino was just a normal, like I said, freshman in college, and originally not from New York. I'm not from New York, and studying there. And eventually they realized that there was a raccoon just living in the alleyway, and Mia, oh yeah, I also changed the name from Miwa to Mia because yes, that's my first name, and also, or that's my like real like name, and it's also Italian and not, because Miwa it's Japanese. I didn't know it was Japanese when I picked the name. Anyway, Mia Pancino lives in an apartment alone, working, going to school, doing commissions, and realizes that there's this weird, like, fat raccoon living in the alleyway by their fire escape. So they start feeding this raccoon regularly. They get a glimpse at the raccoon, and they realize it's not fat, it has 2 extra arms. But because they already like the raccoon and them have like a weird like pet but not really relationship, they decide not to like call anybody or tell anybody about the weird raccoon. Mostly because that'd be something I would do. I'd be, oh, you're weird, but they're probably just some weird freak of nature who can't get food for yourself. Here's a piece of bread. I will. But yeah, and so as so she feeds so she is not the original Spider-Man, as you can see from the other picture. Also, these drawings are out of order, so the drawing of Mia without the suit on is the last drawing I made, and then now with I'm doing the original sketch. But the original Spider-Man of this universe was Spider Raccoon, which was the animal she was feeding. Now, I like to think Spider Raccoon still had still had the intelligence level of a normal raccoon, and all of the villains were like different animals. Like Kingpin was like a giant Rottweiler that somebody just kept on like letting out, or like a German Shepherd. Which also kind of that kind of like relates kind of to my life, because we used to have neighbors that would let their German Shepherds out and let them kill just anything they found. And then the vulture would have been an actual vulture. And then spider, raccoon, and vulture would have been fighting for food. Lizard is somebody's like tengu, I think they're called, or iguana, or monitor that escaped their apartment, and so on. I think that's adorable, and I like to think that Miguel only knew of Spider Raccoon, but also knew that Spider Raccoon could not be in Spider Society because it's just a raccoon, and because of that, you know, the canon events work differently because it's a raccoon. You know, its mate dies, which would have technically been Gwen Raccoon. But eventually, the Kingpin dog gets rabies, and rabies is 100% fatal, but it causes abnormal behavior. Like for wild animals, PSA here, if you see a raccoon or a skunk or a bat wandering around in the daytime, it probably has rabies and it's being weird. Do not get near it. Especially if it looks confused and it's like, where am I? Don't get near it, it'll bite you and it'll be a sad day for you going to the hospital and getting a bunch of shots. But that's why your dog, like animals will get aggressive towards you, because it's showing abnormal behavior. It's a neurological thing. So, in a fight with Kingpin dog, Spider Raccoon gets bitten and contracts rabies. And then, like a few days later, because it does take a little bit for rabies to set in, it can take up to 10 days. So, like a few days later, Spider Raccoon starts to show signs of the rabies, and it goes to Mia's house to get fed, and they feed it, and while they're feeding it, it's like little bread and cheese or whatever, it bites her, or bites them, because don't you love misgendering yourself? That's great for me. But it bites them, and because of Spider Raccoon, because of the rabies, because it like goes through your whole system, it gave Mia Mia spider powers, because of the going through the whole body, because it was kind of like rabies mixed with the original with spider venom with a little bit of Spider Raccoon's DNA. So after Mia gets bit, Spider Raccoon runs away. Mia's like, oh shit, I gotta go to the ER and get rabies shots. That's gonna suck. But so Spider Raccoon runs away and eventually, sadly, passes away from the rabies, and then becomes and then Mia like goes to the ER and does all, I think it's my mother, which she might have been over exaggerating, said it was like 30 shots when she got bit by a dog. I don't know if that's true or not, but we're just gonna pretend it was. And then after that, she went home and she started to notice like she was changing. So her head, so I like to think like it was kind of like body horror, that her head like started bleeding and like ears like grew out of it overnight, and same thing with the tail. When her claws grew in, her like actual like fingernails and toenails fell out. Onto her suit, which I know I'm pretty far in this first drawing, but I was originally gonna do it in my regular art style, but I like all the like cool, like sketchy, like fun arts, 2D, like 3D art styles, like inspired me. Like Hobie is so he runs out of ink color sometimes. That's cool as shit. So I decided to do, instead of doing my usual line art, I decided to do a black line art with my sketching pen and just render how I usually do over that to give it more of like a sketchy appearance. Like, so that's how the world looks. I also do the background multiple times, but for the suit, she doesn't actually have like super defined claws, but she also doesn't have natural webs. So when she first is Spider-Man, She can stick to walls, but it's not like stupendous. It's not like, so she tends to like not like she doesn't go up high onto walls. So she's not, her powers aren't like great for New York because of that. So she has to use her claws to dig into the walls, but her claws aren't that sharp. And this version of me has the same intelligence level as me, because I feel like I can't just make a smarter, cooler version of myself. I have to leave something the same, so still has my brains. But eventually their partner finds out, and I made this. Anyway, they create limb enhancers for her, so her claws are like extended through them, so they can actually like crawl up the walls better, and they still, like I said, have that stickiness to their like hands and feet, but it's enhanced with the enhancers. Also, they also have like a pretty good bite and like raccoon teeth basically, and like really in some good tank canines, but they have an enhancer, so like, because like, you know what, Miguel, or okay, so I don't want to spoil, but you know how they're like, he's like a vampire and he bites somebody? Like, hi, I know too much about like bloodborne diseases to even want to try that, and he's from the future, so he should know about those. So I like to think that she's like, I don't want to catch HIV from having to like bite lizard or something to like, you know. And her fighting style is a lot, or their fighting style is a lot more animalistic. The way they walk, especially because their limb enhancers are especially the bottom ones, they're more animal-like. They walk a little bit more animal-like. I also like to think that they don't like speak as well as they used to, because the raccoon DNA kind of almost mixed in a little bit too well with her DNA, or with their human DNA, and so they kind of like lost a little bit of their like humanity, like being able to speak. I like to think that they have some of the like raccoon mannerisms, like they're eating something, or it's like and it's like something you don't really wash before you eat, and if they're in their apartment alone, they get this urge to just wash it under the sink, because raccoons wash their food before they eat it to make sure it's clean, and that's adorable. And I like to think like there was a point where, like, you know, the cotton candy raccoon, they ended up doing that on like a really bad day for their like raccoon brain, part of their brain, and then they're like, I just killed all my cotton candy. But yeah, their partner doesn't really have a name yet. I just knew that I wanted, well, somebody from my real life who I know is very intelligent could carry over to this other universe to create the limbs, because in reality, if I magically became spider vermin, which is their spider name, I would not know how to do that. Or make web shooters. That's why at first, since their partner can't figure out the right web material, and so they don't. So spider vermin doesn't have web shooters, so the limb enhancers are actually meant to like spring them from building to building until they get web shooters, and then it's just like a jump enhancer. Also, so the way Miguel ferally climbs up walls, by the way, he's not my favorite character. It's just because of how like feral, this man has these fucking clawing up the walls, man. Oh, that's like a lot. Anyway, I saw it as kind of like animalistic, and I think that was kind of the point. So I, because of that, I wanted to give spider vermin that same like deal. I didn't give them the big shoulders because I used to be a swimmer and I used to have like kind of big shoulders, and I didn't like it, so I just didn't because I didn't like it. I also I decided to call them spider vermin because there was already spider raccoon, and I wasn't gonna do the combination that you're probably thinking of that I'm not gonna say on this YouTube channel because the C word, that one that you're thinking, the last part of raccoon is a slur. It's a no-no. So I wasn't ever gonna plan on using that for either of the two spiders. I also like to think that there was some sort of catastrophe, like dimension thing, and because spider raccoon obviously wasn't gonna take care of it, like Miguel was like, well, we gotta send somebody in, and then they see spider vermin already fighting like another dimension's version of the villains. I also like to think that they're after spider vermin pops up, like real life, like the human versions of these villains and the human versions of these canon events start happening. Also another reason why I used vermin was because, okay, I also watched Guardians of the Galaxy 3. That movie was also really good. It almost made me cry. Poor Rocket. But one of the things he says, like in the first movie when he's drunk, like, you called me little monster, you called me rodent, you called me vermin, and all these other like things, and I was like, vermin, yeah, that's something that people actually use for raccoons and like possums and like general like get in your attic and make a mess pest. Not that raccoons are like, we're technically getting into their space, and so they have nowhere else to live. But it is sad when they chew up your stuff in your attic, because that's just sad for anybody. So I used vermin also because I like to think that spider vermin's version of like the news guy James Jonas calls them that as like a rude thing, because their claws leave massive holes in buildings, and so wherever they go, or if they go somewhere a lot, you'll see patching, like of people patching them. And so people have mixed opinions, because for one thing, people know that like humans can't naturally stick to walls, so it's like there's nothing else you can do, and they are fighting these supervillains the police cannot handle. But on the other hand, taxpayer money is going to fix these holes. I'm up now. Anyway, oh my god. I'm gonna leave this video off now, because if I keep talking, this video is gonna turn from a 20-minute video as of recording to a like 30-40 minute video. So thank you for listening. If you like the art in this video, you should subscribe. I know I didn't talk about it a lot, but I wanted to talk about my lore because I have no one else to really share this to other than you guys. So here, take my lore. Yes, it'd also be really cool if somebody drew it. Somebody drew spider vermin. That would be really cool. Okay, I'm done now. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, you should subscribe if you haven't subscribed. If you're not subscribed, I just fucked that up. Okay, if you haven't subscribed, you should subscribe. And if you're already subscribed, you should like and share the video and comment to boost this video. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.